Pastor Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Well, sometimes it can be really helpful to see yourself through someone else's eyes. It can be extremely helpful to the church to hear what people who are not part of the church think about church. And in our own personal lives, it can really help us to hear what someone else thinks of us, not just to get someone else's critique, where they tell you everything they don't like about you, but where you get to see through their eyes both your strengths and weaknesses that together make you who you are. We get a little bit of that kind of perspective on the people of God as we are introduced in Numbers 22 to a couple of people who are not part of the people of Israel. We're going outside of the camp and meeting some local people, and we're getting some perspective on the people of Israel through their eyes. The first of these people that we meet is the king of Moab, Balak, and he is afraid of the people of Israel. He realizes that they have broken away from Pharaoh's enslavement, that they are a huge group of people. He has seen them do battle with some of his neighbors, and he is afraid that they will wipe him out. And so he looks for some help, and he turns to a man named Balaam. Balaam is like a sorcerer. He's a diviner. He's a guy who looks to know what the gods are doing and gain wisdom and insight for people. And he also seems to have a speciality of providing blessings and curses. And this is why Balak turns to Balaam. Balak is seeking a blessing by way of cursing the people of Israel. And so he wants to hire Balaam to do that. But when he sent his men to get Balaam to come and do this job, and my daughter, who was preaching Sunday morning, described this like a group of mobsters going to pick up a hitman to do a job for them. Balaam is this spiritual hitman. But when they request it, Balaam says, I'll have to think about it. Let me sleep on it. And interestingly and amazingly, in the night, God spoke to Balaam. There's nothing here that says that Balaam is a prophet of God. He seems to be all over the map that way. But nonetheless, God spoke to him and told Balaam, you cannot curse these people because I am blessing them. Well, Balaam got the message, told the men that Balak had sent in the morning that he couldn't do the job. But Balak is persistent, and he sends his men back, lots of money in hand, very persuasive, and still Balaam says, well, I'll have to consider this. And overnight, again, the Lord spoke to Balaam. And this time he told him, well, you can go with these men, but don't you do anything that I don't tell you to do. You must do exactly what I tell you. Well, things get very interesting after this. But the upshot of it all, and what I want you to recognize this morning is that in the end, no one can curse God's people. That Balaam is unable to curse them because God is blessing them. My daughter Emily asked us on Sunday morning, what would your life be like if you believed that God was actually there in the business of blessing you? That he was keeping his promises and that there was nothing that could prevent him from making his will come into reality. She even pointed out that in the 23rd Psalm, in the final lines there, it says, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. That the word that's translated follow is not just a casual lollygagging along behind someone. No, this is a word that really expresses a very intentional and determined pursuit. Surely goodness and mercy will pursue me all the days of my life. What if you believe that God was pursuing you, that his promises would come into reality, his purposes for your life would happen, that he will bless you? How would that change the way that you look at your life, the way that you approach living it out in your relationship with God, if you believe that God was really there to bring his blessing to life? When we see the people of God through the eyes of these outsiders, Balak and Balaam, we see that God is absolutely able to make his will happen, that his promises will come true and that no one can prevent it, that God is determined to bring his blessing to life. May God bless you today. And as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.